All right, y'all, what's going on to an early Monday Night Live? Get my audio together here, hold on. All right, here we go. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. Bit of a different time tonight, so I'm gonna hear a little early here. D, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Ali, what's going on? Welcome. So basically, I've decided that I'm going to make an executive decision to be a responsible individual. I'm going to be responsible, right? I'm going to try to do my streams a bit earlier in the evening so I can get to bed at a decent time. So I've been going to bed a little too late, and I really should be getting to bed a little earlier, and so should you. Right, so decided to make an executive decision. So we'll see how this time of day works. But basically tonight, what I wanted to really touch on is basically not only just weight loss, but just regardless of whether you're trying to lose or gain weight, that the solution almost is never to restrict or reduce the amount of food you eat. Okay. I've talked about this many times. I've been saying this, beating this drum for years, but I really can't say it enough because it's not a thing that I don't really hear people saying at all. Matter of fact, the only time I ever hear people say to eat more is when they're talking to people who are trying to gain muscle mass. I never really hear that from any other people. You may have like a lot of, I don't know about a lot, but you may have some raw vegans who even disagree with me about eating more, right? But there are zero consequences from eating more nutritious foods, right? As long as those foods are in alignment with what your goals are. There's only really a handful of exceptions, maybe one in particular, where you would want to reduce the amount of food you eat, and that is because your kidneys can't handle you eating more food, right? That's probably the number one exception to that rule. Okay. But anyways, you see some ones in the chat. Denise, what's going on? Good to see you on here. Put a W in the chat if you prefer the 6 p.m. slot as opposed to 8 p.m. Right? Because I got folks on the plan trying to get to bed at a decent time. You got to check out early sometimes. See, does the 6 p.m. slot work better? Yeah, I know it works for you. Miss D is like, yes, he's cutting me a break. My goodness. All right. All right, we got 2 W's in the chat. There we go. All right, so let me get down to it, right? I want to do a few things tonight, okay? I want to talk about overall, regardless of what your goal is. Let's say your goal is weight loss, diabetes reversal, reducing blood pressure, things like that. Increasing the food volume is more beneficial than not, right? I'm not talking about calorie increasing or cutting, right? I'm talking about increasing food volume. It's really what I'm talking about, okay? When I'm talking about calorie cutting, essentially what I'm talking about is when people cut calories, where they're focusing on cutting calories, not food volume, but cutting calories. W works better being in London. True, my overseas people, that's right. So yeah, basically, when I talk about eating more, I'm talking about eating more food volume and eating more water-rich foods. Okay, that's essentially what I'm talking about. Hold on a second here. Let me calm it down a bit. Let's see, I gotta get my energy right here. Get my vibe right. All right, so there's a very big difference between increasing volume, food volume, versus increasing caloric intake or decreasing caloric intake. You can actually increase food volume and decrease calorie intake, okay? But the reduction in caloric intake is unintentional. It's incidental as a result of increasing food volume, okay? And so basically a great example of that is like, as you know, I'm a big advocate for fruit consumption, meaning the more fruit you eat, the more weight you lose and the better your blood sugar number levels become. And the reason why is because fruit typically is around 80 to 90% water, right? So people say, oh, well, there's a lot of sugar in fruit. It's like, sure, but fruits aren't calorically dense. Okay, so you can eat a lot of food volume and not necessarily eat a lot of calories, right? And of course, there is a disclaimer that I need to make because I feel uncomfortable saying eating calories, because calories isn't really a thing you eat, it's a thing you burn, right? Caloric energy burn or calorie burning is a measure of thermogenesis, right? Or thermal energy, heat energy, right? So there's really only a such thing as caloric output as opposed to caloric intake. But certain foods, they're more calorically dense, meaning that you can apply a lot more thermogenesis to them, and it takes longer for that thermogenic process to break that food down, okay? Now, just because you ate 500 calories doesn't mean that you're gonna burn 500 calories from that food. It doesn't mean that, right? Your body doesn't burn 100% of the calories you eat. It really never does burn 100% of the calories you eat. And as a matter of fact, even when you eat today, your body doesn't really burn calories from the foods you eat today. It burns calories from meals you had days ago, right? So there's a bit of nuance that goes into that, and there is differences in what fuel your body chooses to burn. Okay. So there's a bit more nuance to it there. And that's when we get into blood sugar numbers and that kind of thing, right? There is a benefit to eating at least 3 meals a day, but up to even 4 or even 6 meals a day. Okay. More nutrition is more beneficial. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Chronometer right quick. Okay. so I can give you a visual demonstration of what I'm talking about. So let me pull this up here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Yeah. There we go. All right, so I'm pulling up Chronometer right quick. All right, so y'all should see on y'all screen, this is the Chronometer dashboard. Now, here's an example of what I would eat in a day. Okay, let's say if we just factor in all the fruits. And I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna measure bananas in terms of ounces or pounds. I'm gonna put 32 ounces of bananas. Okay, so 16 ounces of bananas. All right, so that's gonna be 807 calories. So that's 207 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fat, and 10 grams of protein. 9.9 grams of protein to be specific. This is breakfast for me, okay? Now this could be 6 bananas, this can be 8 bananas, it could be 10. It depends on the size of the bananas. So it could be a very good idea to own a food scale to really map this out, okay? Now if we scroll down here, this is already 62% of fiber, 87% of vitamin C. We got our folate here and potassium. So now if we scroll down, we can see here vitamin C, 88%, folate, 45%, pyridoxine, what is that, 266%. We scroll down here, manganese, 106%, magnesium, 58%, copper, 79%. Okay, and then we have our amino acids here. Histidine, 68%, which is the highest one here. Okay, so this is just within this first meal here. Now, interestingly enough, we got water. This is 18% of water for the day, 679 grams of water. Okay, so let's just calculate, because I don't know my grams to ounces offhand. So let me convert that right quick. So that was what? For water, that was 679 grams. Let's say 680 grams of water. So 680 grams of water is 24 ounces of water, okay? So let's say if your goal, typically you want to consume, what is it? Let's say you wanted to consume a gallon of water a day, right? This will get you almost halfway there, right? Not quite, but almost. Okay. So that's not bad. Now, so for that first meal, we got our bananas. And now let's say for our second meal, let's say we do some coconut yogurt. Let's say we do, actually, I'm a big fan of, let's say we do Siggi's. Matter of fact, let's just do just straight up coconut yogurt. Let's see what kind of options we got here. Coconut yogurt, plain. Coconut yogurt. That's a bit far. That's a bit too low. Should be a little higher than that. Coconut yogurt should be fairly high in fat. It's just not really a low-fat food necessarily. Coconut is a pretty decent amount of fat here. Okay. So this seems about right? So either we could do this So Delicious. Let's do this. We could either do So Delicious or we could do Siggi's. Let's see. So let's do 8 ounces of Siggi's coconut yogurt. Let's say we did that. Of the So Delicious, actually. 8 ounces, that's a bit higher than that. Hold on a second, because some numbers don't particularly look right to me. Sometimes Chronometer could not really be right and exact, but you know. But close enough, just to illustrate the point. So here we go, Siggi's. Because I know the label. The label doesn't look quite. Looks a little off. So I'm trying to see which one. See, this looks more similar to the plant-based coconut yogurt with the blended yogurt mango flavor, but that one's 10 grams. See, this is a little bit more in line with what it's supposed to look like. I don't know what this is up here, because that doesn't look quite right. But let's say we go with this one just to illustrate the point. And we go to ounces, and we go to 8 ounces. So we go to 8 ounces of the coconut yogurt, and we're going to use that coconut yogurt as a base. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add blueberries to it. And we're going to add 8 ounces of blueberries. And then we're going to add some strawberries to it. So let's say we add 8 ounces of strawberries. And then from there, we're going to add hemp seeds. So let's say we add hemp seeds. Let's do whole hemp seeds, and we'll do 3 tablespoons. Let's do that. So now within these 2 meals here, we got 1,447 calories. Okay, that first meal, 807 calories, which is a good pre-workout meal actually. And then this post-workout meal, 640 calories. Now the first meal, 20 grams of protein, 207 grams of carbs, and 3 grams of fat. The second meal is more of a post-workout meal. 640 calories, 28 grams of protein, 73 grams of carbs, and 31 grams of fat. So out of 1,447 calories so far, we have 37.7 grams of protein. So rounded up, we get 38. 279 grams of carbs in total. We can round that up to 280. And then dietary fat, we got 34 grams of fat so far. All right, now if we scroll down, now we see our micronutrients really starting to come up here. So look at this. We got thiamine, 67%, riboflavin or vitamin B2, we're 69%, niacin, 66%, B6, 78%, B5, 78%, B6, 287% because of the bananas. Folate, we're up to 71% in just 2 meals, okay? Vitamin C, 260%, vitamin K, 46%, vitamin E, 22%. But look at this, we've already hit omega-3 essential fatty acids, 207%, omega-6, 55%. All right. And then we scroll down here, copper, which I just did a short on, 158%, iron 79%, magnesium 119%, manganese 277%, phosphorus 111, potassium 126%, and zinc at 46%. All right, so we're getting up there in just these 2 meals. Okay. Now let's look at a third meal. So now let's say for a third meal, let's hit grapes. And for the grapes, let's say we do, let's say we do 32 ounces. Let's say we do a whole 2 pounds of grapes. So we do 32 ounces of grapes. Boom. This gives us 2,000 calories, 2,073. So 443.9. So 444 grams of carbs, protein, 44 grams of protein, and then fat, 36.6. So far, for me personally, because this is calculated towards me, this is 70% of all of my micronutrients so far. Okay. So now for here, I've hit my B vitamins almost. And I'm going to cover the rest of these B vitamins here. And I'm going to cover the vitamin A in a minute. So I'm going to get there. All right. So in these minerals, right, we're a little behind in selenium. We're going to make that up. And we're a little behind in the zinc. We're going to make that up. All right. But pretty much for the copper, we're well up and above in all of these alkalizing minerals. And the calcium, we'll get that up in a second. All right. So this is just 3 meals out of the day. So within these 3 meals here, ideally I would want to start eating around 6 or 7 in the morning. The second meal would be like around 10 o'clock or so, something like that, maybe 9. And then this third meal would actually be around 12 noon or 1 o'clock, something like that. Now my next meal, this third meal, would be a little something different, okay? So now with this third meal, let's say I'm gonna do sweet potato, okay? Now I'm gonna show you why in a second. So let's say for sweet potato, I wanna do baked sweet potato, and I'm gonna do 16 ounces or 1 pound of sweet potato. That's 93 grams of carbs, 9 grams of protein, okay? And like less than a gram of fat, 408 calories. So now I'm up to 2,481 calories, okay? So I'm up to 538 grams of carbs, 53 grams of protein, and 36 grams of fat. All right, and 81% of my macro. So of my micro, excuse me. So if I had this meal, this sweet potato, this baked sweet potato, and I had that, let's say by 1 o'clock or so, I have another meal that I would have around like 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. Okay. But now if we scroll down here, look at this, vitamin A. That sweet potato with all the beta carotene in it covers my vitamin A. And that's where I get that 491% of vitamin A, okay? And now look here, all of the B vitamins here listed, B1, 2, 3, 4 is not listed here for some reason. 5 and 6, 7, 8, and 9 are not covered. And then vitamin K, 165% on vitamin K is covered. And then vitamin C, we're almost at nearly 400%. And then water, the water content is at 2,152 grams. So if we do 2,152 grams, that's 75 ounces of water, or 75.9, so 76 ounces of water in just my food. Okay. And so now we're starting to really make ground here on these amino acids. And you see this leucine, with that we hit that 2 grams of leucine, that 2.2 grams of leucine. Isoleucine, we're at 1.1, so we're getting there, right? And then the zinc now, we're at 65% by that third meal. So mind you, this is a meal to eat at like 1 o'clock. So then the next one would be like around 4 o'clock, okay? Let me check in with y'all in the comments right quick. All right, let's see, just to make sure I'm keeping up with y'all. Would leaky gut be one of those instances to eat less, since everything you eat seems to cause inflammation and histamine response? I'm just asking, is less for the healing window well, that's where you should change the foods you eat in particular, right? So eating more could actually be beneficial depending on what you're eating more of, right? If you're having leaky gut issues, the problem is that you're not absorbing as much nutrients from your food. So that would be a good reason why you would want to increase the amount of food volume you consume, but eat less abrasive foods and more water-rich foods to ease the digestive process. Also, if you have leaky gut issues, it could be a good idea to eat foods that you can run through the blender and puree, right? So it's like you're eating like a pre-digested food. Okay, which I'm gonna touch on in a second. Are you putting any dressing on your salad? I didn't do any salads yet, but I'll get into that. Did some research. Looks like mustard is a good option. Absolutely, I'm a big fan of using mustard on as dressing. Absolutely. By the way, folks, hit that like button, okay? And if you're not already subbed to the channel, definitely sub to the channel. My man, K.O. Kennedy, good to see you in here. Nice is that app that way you are using. Yep. Appreciate you tuning in. Can you repeat the time of day for each meal? And do you have sweet potatoes with anything? Well, that personally, I would just eat the sweet potato by itself as like a midday kind of meal. But yeah, so if I go back here, so let's open up Chronometer again. All right. So we get back on track with y'all here. So yeah, the first meal could be around 6 or 7 o'clock. Also a big part of the reason why I want to wake up earlier. So this right here, breakfast would be around 6 or 7 o'clock as a pre-workout meal if you're going to train in the morning. And then after that, post-workout, you would eat like around 9, maybe 10 o'clock for that lunch. This lunch meal, it's not really lunch because it's still in the morning, but that's what the tabs are named. So this second meal, you would have that like around 9, 10 o'clock, something like that. And then this right here with the grapes, you would have like around 12 or 1 o'clock. You know, and then the sweet potato, this is where you would have the sweet potato like around 3, 4 o'clock maybe. I want to say around 3 o'clock because the grapes ain't gonna hold you for very long, or at least not me, right? But you can also have the sweet potato at 4 o'clock too if you want to drag it out an extra hour. And then the next meal time after the sweet potato could be 7 o'clock or so, and you'd be done by 8. So now we go into this final meal here. And so let's say we go red lentils with this base here. And I'm gonna do, let's say I do a half a cup of the red lentils. And then for mushrooms, we add some mushrooms to this. In fact, let me specify. So I'm gonna do baby bella mushrooms. So let's say for the mushrooms here, let's say we do 8 ounces of mushrooms. Okay. And then I'm gonna do, let's say I do some red onion. So I'm seasoning that up with some red onion. So I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup of the red onion. All right. And then I'm gonna do bell pepper in here. So I'm gonna do red bell pepper, and I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup of that. And then for the greens, I'm gonna do, let's say we do some broccoli. Okay. I haven't had broccoli in a while, but yeah. So basically, let's say we put broccoli. Boom, and we do like 2 cups of broccoli. Okay. So now basically, now we're up to 3,000 calories. All right, so 3,000 calories, 633 grams of carbs, 96 grams of protein, and 39 grams of fat. This is actually a very good diet plan for somebody who's diabetic and they want to get into the gym and build muscle and drop body fat and whatnot. And I'm going to explain why in a second. So now look at all of these green bars, right? And basically if we wanted to, for this vitamin E, we're at 92%. So we can go back here and we can actually add roasted sunflower seed kernels. And let's say we add 10 grams. So we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of sunflower seed kernels to this. Oh, and I almost forgot the nutritional yeast. Let me add some nutritional yeast to this for the veggie bouillon. This is gonna be 2 tablespoons. Yep, so let's do 2 tablespoons of that. That brings us up to 3109, okay? Our fats are now at 44 grams. Protein is at 103 grams. And the carbs is at 638. Total targets for my micronutrients is 96%. Okay. The only thing that we're low in here is calcium, which is not really a problem. You don't really need a whole lot of dietary calcium because you'll be storing more of your calcium inside your lean tissues because you have more of an alkaline diet. An alkaline diet typically isn't going to be a diet that's high in calcium. Okay. So basically now here, the selenium, we accumulate selenium. You only really need trace amounts of it. You don't need that much. And this, sodium, not too high, but you can add sodium. Sodium has its benefits. But that can be something that you can add a little bit of, to your satisfaction in your cooking process, okay? So this would be like what a full day of eating looks like, right? And so each meal is like around 600 something. Your heaviest meal is actually your first meal. Dietary fats are not very high. So if we go to the macros here, fats are 12%, protein is 12%, carbs is 76%. Okay, so this is what like a high raw vegan diet would look like, right? Now let's say you didn't want to do like the sweet potato for whatever reason. You wanted to do more fruit, so we can actually swap out that sweet potato, and instead we can throw in, let's say we throw in some mango, and we can do, what's a good equivalent? Let's say if we did 24 ounces of mango. So we do 24 ounces of mango, that's a clean swap, still at 3,109 calories, okay? So the calorie count has not moved much at all. And now if we look here, macros, where the protein is 11% and the fats are 13%. So a slight move there, but not by much. And now the diet is even more raw than it previously was, okay? Now here, so you see the reason why I chose the mango is because of the beta carotene in it. It's not as high as with the sweet potato according to Chronometer. I'm not really too sold on that, but that's fine. So we made a slight bit of a trade there. Not really too much of a concern because vitamin A is something that your body synthesizes over a period of time on its own. Right? So you don't really need dietary vitamin A necessarily, right? Your body makes it on its own. Okay? And so we hit basically, and this is with no protein powder or anything like that. I didn't add any supplementation in here. And so we hit all of the protein requirements. We are at 100 grams of protein for the day, right? So this is not really a low protein diet. Kinda, you can argue it's a low protein diet relatively, right? Because you're eating carbs and protein at like more than a 6-to-1 ratio. And the fats are even less. Now, the reason why you may look at the carbs and be like, man, that's a lot of carbs. The carbs look really high. That's because the dietary fats are really low, right? So basically, if you are a person who is, let's say you are 270, 280, or 300 pounds, you actually burn more calories than this. You burn more than 3,000 calories a day. You burn more than 3,100 calories a day. And if you are that heavy, you'll look at this and be like, I can't eat all of this food. Because the thing is that most people who are really overweight like that barely eat. You eat less than me on average, right? And struggle to lose the weight. And so if you're really overweight and struggling to lose the weight even though you barely eat, then what does that tell you? It can't be, oh, that you're eating too much, right? You didn't gain the weight because you were just eating too many calories. That's not really how that works, right? But if you are a person where, and you can illustrate this, if you're a person struggling to lose weight, you're 260, 270, 300 pounds, whatever the case is, take what you eat in a day, plug it into Chronometer and see what you get, and see how many of these green bars you get. Some of them are red because the number's really high, right? So the folate and the niacin are really high here in particular, right? So that's why you have that red bar there. It's not that it's too much because these are water-soluble nutrients, right? But the B vitamins, and you want your B vitamins to be high like that. So the B vitamins here are like well over 100%, even to the point, look at this, pyridoxine is over like 1,000%, which is really important because that pyridoxine is needed in order for your body to engage in muscle synthesis, protein synthesis. So that is so B6 basically is a B vitamin that is needed in order for your body to be able to digest and break down protein and then take the amino acids from that protein and build new proteins from it and things like that in your body. So that's why that's really important. So to increase muscle mass, you want more of that vitamin B6, right? To increase bone density, you need more of that vitamin B6. To heal your endothelial layer, your cardiovascular system, your vital organs, right? You need that vitamin B6. In order to fix thyroid issues and things like that, you need that vitamin B6. So we're getting a lot of it in a diet, but for good reason, right? You want to heal your pancreas, same thing. You need that vitamin B6. Niacin, you really want that for vascular health, blood flow, things like that. That's really important. Thiamine, if you want better sleep quality, you want to reduce the level of oxidative stress, you want to heal your kidneys, you want to heal your liver, right? You want to correct your thyroid function and your pituitary function. Thiamine, really important, right? So that B1, you see we got 714% of it here. So if you're eating foods that come with abundance of these things, then guess what? You're gonna get a lot of healing as a result, because food is you're flooding your body with all these nutrients, and then you're giving your body, 646 grams of glucose to power the process of being able to utilize those micronutrients, right? A lot of the times, things like multivitamins don't really work, because if your energy balance in your body is too low, you don't have enough glucose, then you can't really utilize the nutrients. Because the utilization of those nutrients, you need energy for that. It's not free. It's not like you can just dump the vitamins and minerals in and not have the energy needed in order for your body to use those things. Energy is required, right? So basically, you eat all these carbs, the carbs break down into glucose, that glucose goes into the cells of your vital organs, your muscle tissue, etc. And that energy powers the process of those cells utilizing the micronutrients from your food. Without that energy balance, without that glycogen from the glucose being stored inside those cells cannot efficiently excrete waste products and take in nutrients. So a big driver of obesity and metabolic disorder is a negative energy balance, actually. That negative energy balance doesn't necessarily lead to more fat loss. It can, but it depends. Because basically there's a race. It's kind of like chemo. Yeah, chemo will kill cancer. It'll also kill you and your entire gut microbiome. But when you're taking the chemo, you hope the chemo will kill the cancer before it kills you, right? In the same way where if you cut your food intake, yeah, that'll cause your body to tap into stored fat for energy, but you're not just using fat for energy, you're burning through everything as well, right? So you burn through fat, you also burn through stored vitamins and minerals in your body, you burn through amino acids in your body, so you burn through a bit of everything. And so when you're under eating over a prolonged period of time, you're burning through all of your body's resources, not just fat, right? So when I say to stop cutting your calories, well, this is why. Because the more you cut your energy balance, these pathologies can increase and get worse, right? So people battle obesity their whole entire lives because they've been doing the opposite of what they should. You need more energy, not less. Right? So when you eat less, you get less sleep quality, you get poorer digestion, etc. Right? People may say, well, when I eat less, my gut doesn't feel as inflamed. And I say, well, it depends on what you're eating. Right? And it depends on how hydrated you are. With this food here, you're already getting 74, 76 ounces of water, and that's just from your food. That's not even from teas you're drinking or anything like that. Now, somebody mentioned to me earlier in the comments here, let me get to your comment. Who asked me that? Let me scroll up, because somebody asked me about leaky gut. And I wanted to talk about a particular amino acid. Okay. Yeah, so Gabrina, right, asked me about leaky gut. Now, when you eat more of fruits, you eat more blueberries, strawberries, mango, bananas, apples, things like that, these foods contain an amino acid called malic acid, okay? Malic acid neutralizes uric acid inside your cells, okay? So basically, when that uric acid gets neutralized, also ammonia, right? So the malic acid, along with citrulline, which is also found in a variety of different fruits like watermelon, cucumber, beets, things like this, as well as strawberries, right? So citrulline is found in trace amounts in a variety of different fruits. And so basically the malic acid, the citrulline, the vitamin C, these things work together to neutralize uric acid, ammonia, lactic acid, things like this. As well as when you get an abundance of magnesium in your diet, magnesium also helps to reduce the acid in your body, right? So here, in this diet plan in particular, this is 180% of your magnesium. And then copper, it's 546%. Okay? And then the manganese is 444%. Now I'm going to go through all of these nutrients to explain why this is important. But malic acid, it reduces that uric acid and that ammonia buildup, right? And that works together with the citrulline that also reduces ammonia. And ammonia is a result of protein breakdown. It's a waste product that accumulates inside your cells when protein is broken down into simpler amino acids, right? And so that has to be excreted from your body or recycled. Same thing with uric acid, right? So vitamin C, magnesium, malic acid, citrulline, these things like that work together to bring down the acid. When the acid is neutralized and further flushed out of your body, especially with the high water content of your food, you get less inflammation as a result. That means less gut irritation over time. The magnesium and the manganese work together to repair your intestines, your digestive tract. So these foods heal your gut, right? So that's really important as well for leaky gut. Then on top of that, the fiber from these foods, the prebiotic fiber from these foods, they help to feed the beneficial gut bacteria in your lower gut. And so that rebuilds your gut microbiome, okay? The coconut yogurt is actually a good source of probiotics, beneficial gut bacteria, right? So when you're eating that coconut yogurt, that goes a long way. That's like taking a probiotic supplement, actually, right? So when you combine it with the berries and things like that, these actually serve as a food source as well as protecting the probiotic cultures in the food, right? So that it can make it through your digestive tract and make it to your lower digestive tract, your lower gut, right? And you do that over a period of days and weeks and months, and your gut health gets better over time, right? In addition, you can also supplement with a probiotic supplement where you're getting like 60 billion CFU or something like that, right? Like a high dosage of the probiotic cultures in the supplement, okay? And then finally, supplementing with vitamin D, right? A lot of the times people have leaky gut and all these type of metabolic issues and gut health issues because of a lack of vitamin D, right? When you have a lack of vitamin D, your body is not adequately able to leverage melanin in order to protect your vital organ tissues and things like that. So vitamin D actually improves that process, right? So you get better hormonal balance, cholesterol, gut health, etc. Okay? That doesn't sound good. Can y'all hear that? Let me catch up with y'all on these comments here. Lemon or lime is good as well. I guess we talk about the seasonings, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I could put y'all comments up. So I'm confused. What's the best way to cook foods like mushrooms? I'm guessing steamed. Yeah, I mean, you can cook, you can microwave mushrooms, you can boil them, you can steam them, or you can eat them raw. Peppers is the same thing. For me personally, I don't really cook my mushrooms. I don't really cook peppers. I don't really cook my onions either. So I usually just eat those things raw. Is he on MyFitnessPal? No, I'm on Chronometer. Yes, I'm using Chronometer there. Chronometer.com. All right, let's see. My man Jay Short, what's going on, brother? Absolutely good to see you in here. Not eating enough causes my health issues for sure. Yeah, oh yeah, you especially, yeah. Like you really benefit from eating more food for sure. Absolutely. Now the thing is that you gradually build up the amount of food you eat, right? Like if you're used to eating 1,600 calories a day, You're not going to just right out the gate tomorrow or even today just start packing in 3,100 calories a day. Because the thing is, the water richness of food and then the fiber richness, it prevents you from overeating. These aren't foods you can binge eat, right? Nobody gets obese off of making really healthy food choices. It's not how that works. What do you say to critics that tell us bananas have too much sugar and sugar is bad for your inflammation? Yeah, so basically, there's not really any scientific data that demonstrates that, right? So when people say, oh, well, there's a lot of sugar, it's like, well, bananas are like 70 to 80% water or 70 to 79% water, right? So by weight, it's actually not really a high sugar fruit. However, they're categorizing high sugar. Like what qualifies as high or low sugar? I don't know. People never really say when I ask for numbers. Because I've personally asked people, well, how do you define what is a high sugar food or a low sugar food? How do you define that? Right? Based on what numbers, right? What percentage of the food has to be sugar, right? And then how many bananas do you eat until it becomes too much sugar, right? So there's that. So people kind of say that because it's just like a thing they heard other people say, so they just repeat it, but they haven't really actually done the math, right? So like a lot of people don't realize that this is 3,100 calories, but it's 646 grams of carbs. Most people wouldn't know that because they didn't do the math. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of carbs. It's like, yeah, sure, but it's only like 13% fat and 11% protein. Kind of puts it into perspective. And then also keep in mind that skeletal muscle mass, every kilogram of skeletal muscle mass can hold 15 grams of glucose from carbs. Carbohydrates break down into glucose. That glucose gets sent to your cells. So 1 kilogram, can hold 15 grams. So if we do the math, right? Let's say you have 20 kilograms of skeletal muscle tissue. So we would take that 20 and we would multiply it by 15, and that gives you 300. Okay? And that's just for skeletal muscle. Now keep in mind, your brain also uses 25% of all of the glucose you consume in a day. Okay? So basically, if we do 300 and then let's say we add an additional 25%, right? And then basically, what is this? 300, and let's say we add 75%. So now we're up to 525 grams of carbs, okay? Now, let's say 525 grams of carbs, and then we add the food, and then we add the carb burn from our vital organs, beating hearts, you're right, the amount of glucose you store inside your liver, and things like that. And then your overall caloric burn for the entire day, okay? So it really starts to add up. So basically here, if you burn, let's say if you do a 30 minutes of resistance training, and then you walk 6 miles a day, your caloric burn for the entire day would be like 3,100 calories a day. I know mine is. I am 5'9", like 160 pounds, and I burn like 3,100 calories a day. Right? Sometimes I burn 3,200, like if I walk like 6 or 7 miles a day or something like that. And that's just for me. Now, I am 160 pounds. If you're 100 pounds heavier than me, you're gonna burn way more than I do, which means your carbohydrate needs are gonna be much higher than mine. Your heart rate's higher, your body has to work harder, etc. Okay? So basically, when you do the math, it's not really possible to overeat carbs because of this. Right? And then the thing is what happens is the more you eat high carb, the more insulin sensitive you get, because your body will naturally adapt by creating more insulin sensitivity. So your body gets better at metabolizing and using carbohydrates for energy. Right? So these are the things you have to consider, your energy usage and expenditure is not really, it's not a fixed target, it's a moving thing, right? So the more muscle mass you build, that increases caloric burn. The just losing weight, even for your body to metabolize fat and use fat for energy, that also requires glucose, right? Because you have to create a hormonal shift, and your body uses glucose in order to alter your brain chemistry in order to facilitate that adaptation, right? So it's not just, oh, sugar, that's bad. It's a bit more complex. It's a bit more to it than that, right? So people oversimplify the issue, and people run into a lot of problems with this. So cooking them with like olive oil isn't bad. It's not bad, no. If you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, you may want to reduce, cooking with oil. You may just want to stick to dry roasting, steaming, boiling, or raw foods, right? You can add a little olive oil, it's fine, but if you're having cardiovascular issues, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, yeah, you're kind of risking it a little bit when you do that. To what degree, don't know. But generally speaking, people tend to have better outcomes when they avoid the oil usage, right? Because oil is just like pure fat. Remsen, you should do StreamYard links. I don't know what that means. What's a StreamYard link? What does that mean? Ricardo, what's going on, brother? Coach, is vitamin B12 in the form of cyanocobalamin found in Bragg's nutritional yeast safe? It better be safe. I mean, I put it in diet plans. I use it, so I don't see why not. No. I always hear long intakes of cyanocobalamin can eventually be bad for health. Long intakes of it. When you say long intakes, you gotta kind of clarify what that means. There's different forms of vitamin B12, right? And those forms, you would need more of one. Like, let's say the most absorbable one is methylcobalamin, right? That's like the most absorbable one. So that's one that you can have in lesser dosages. The other one that you mentioned, that one, it requires a higher dosage by default. Because it's a bit lower in absorption, right? But ultimately, I haven't seen any evidence that shows that, like, oh, it's too much B12. I haven't seen that. I have yet to have anybody where their problem was that their B12 was too high. I haven't seen that. Most people, their B12 is too low. So eating such high calories means you must work out to maintain weight or lose it. My viewpoint is, in my experience, if you slightly eat under 1,500 calories, you can drop without a workout. The only reason why you're not working out is because you're disabled. If you're disabled, well, that could be a reason why you may want to eat less. But the thing is that when you're disabled, you can't really overeat with these food choices anyway, right? Your appetite will shut off, right? So the more inactive you are, the less of an appetite you have. The more active you are, your appetite increases, right? So it's a bit different. I mean, even if, like, let's say somebody came to me and they were like, hey, they're tired all the time, they're overweight, they don't sleep well, they would get immediate results from eating more. And actually, their numbers would move on the scale when they start eating more. I've actually had people drop a lot of body fat and drop a lot of weight because they ate more. Now, what I'm specifically talking about, though, is not just eating anything. I'm specific foods, right? So basically, this diet plan that I just created here, the dietary carbohydrates is up around Okay, now my sound should be back. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. All right, can y'all hear me now? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. Can y'all hear me clearly yet? Put a 1 in the chat, let me know. There we go, okay, all right. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, I got a little bit of a faulty mic issue, so if I tap that plug, it kind of messes up my whole sound. So I don't know, I might have to get like a new mic or something like that, I don't know. All right, so we're back up. Let me catch up with y'all here in these comments. Let's see, StreamYard is a platform that allows people to stream within YouTube. So if I hit the link, we can video chat. Oh, I'm on StreamYard right now. So what do you mean if I hit the link, you can video chat? Oh, you mean like if you wanted to co-host with me, like to come on the platform? Like, is that what you're talking about? I'll book a call soon. Finally made a decision to finally give up meat, fish, and eggs to get rid of anxiety. Gotcha. Well, I look forward to talking to you. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta plug that, shouldn't I? I should plug that. In the link in the description of this video, there's a link to book a call with me. All right. So you can go in the link in the description of this video to book a call with me. And yeah, we get 60 minutes to talk about your issues and what approach you can take to really start fixing things. I also do personalized plans and coaching as well. So if you want to move forward with something like that, we can do that as well. All right. So like the stream if you like the stream, right? Hit that like button. Drop kick the like button. Drop the people's elbow on the like button. Drop everybody's elbows on the like button. All right. So yeah. So basically, you know, you got to think of food as energy, okay? But your appetite will be regulated. Yeah, so your appetite... All right, so yeah, your appetite will be regulated by your energy usage. So if you're sedentary, well, that's all the more reason for you to eat like this. You won't be able to overeat because these are foods that are very compatible with your hormonal system. They don't provoke binge eating, right? Because the water and the fiber and whatnot, they're filling. So they're a check on your appetite. All right. So when people start eating more raw, so when you start eating more, basically what happens is start having more energy. People eat raw vegan. Oh, I feel like, why is my music so loud all of a sudden? All right, there we go. My apologies for that. So yeah, basically, if you start eating raw, what happens is people end up eating less. Like, don't do this. Like, oh, I eat a raw vegan diet. I just eat like 3 meals a day, and I'm hungry all the time. It's probably because you're not eating enough food volume. You're not eating frequently enough, right? I'm talking about eating fruit by the pound. 2 pounds of this, 3 pounds of that, 4 pounds of that, etc. Right? So, you know, if you're eating like 3 pounds of watermelon, just understand it's like 90% water, right? You're eating your water. So you're not going to be full very long on a food that's mostly water. All right, so you would definitely need to eat a lot more food volume, which is very therapeutic for your gut health because, you know, you don't really get a whole lot of gut agitation from foods that are like 80% water. 90% water. Those are actually very soothing for your gut. People actually experience a lot of gut health issues from being dehydrated. Okay. How's the best way to add lemons into the plan? Heard lemon juice is helpful. Yeah, so basically you can cut you can cut a lemon in half and you can squeeze lemon juice over your salad. You know what you could do actually if you want to get creative? You can cut up watermelon, freeze watermelon, and then you take the frozen watermelon and you break it up into chunks, you put it in the blender, and then you add squeezed lemon juice or just add lemon juice into the blender with the watermelon. And you blend it and it creates like an icy, right? My lady actually, she just put me onto this recently, right? Where she had watermelon in the freezer. And she put it through the blender and it makes like a slushy. And you can just add lime juice or lemon juice to it, and that's the way that you can add some of that in. What do you do if you are dehydrated and having muscle spasms bad? Yeah, so basically you could do, you know what really helps? You can drink like 16 ounces of water with 2 grams of magnesium malate, 1 to 2 grams of taurine, and like a tablespoon of lemon or lime juice with a pinch of sea salt, and drink that down. That works. That's really hydrating. How much lemon juice is too much? I don't know. I do like 1 or 2 tablespoons of lemon or lime juice at a time. I love the stuff. So I don't really know how much is too much. I mean, there is a limit, right? I think 1 or 2 tablespoons should be enough. Yes, all together. Yeah, so you add all of that into the 16 ounces of water. Yeah. I need a spaghetti replacement. LOL, used to love Olive Garden. Best cheap meal a single man could ever have. You could eat spaghetti. I mean, like you could do like chickpea noodles or noodles made out of like quinoa or something like that. I don't really eat spaghetti much, but I don't really eat things like that, like mock meat, spaghetti, or pasta. I don't really do that. I think that eating the whole food generally is better for you. The more you process a food, the more of the nutrients you lose as a result of the oxidation in that industrialized process. So I would rather just eat the whole food as opposed to just get like a preformed industrially processed noodle form. But I mean, the noodles are okay to have, you know, spaghetti and things like that. That's okay to have, you know, maybe a couple times a week or something like that. Zucchini noodles or cucumber noodles? Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, that's like a good accent. Adriana Banana. I like that name. I've become like a real banana enthusiast. I'm like, yo, bananas are amazing. It's like the most convenient thing. Like bananas are a special food. What about zucchini noodles? Yeah, zucchini noodles are phenomenal. I mean, it's not going to be like calorically dense. It's not going to be particularly filling, but it's a nice accent to like a salad or something like that. So yeah, they're water rich, good mineral content and whatnot. So yeah, you know, it's a nice thing to add. My friend and I got into a debate because she said it's okay to fry mushrooms with certain batters. I don't see how in the world that is healthy at all. Yeah, so frying food generally is not, it's not a healthy thing to do, to fry food, especially like if you're frying the food in a batter. That's not really a healthy thing. I don't see how fried foods would be a healthy thing. The foods you're frying can be healthy. But the process of frying or eating something fried takes away from the health benefits of the food you're frying. So it diminishes the overall benefit of the food you're frying. So, you know, there's a bit of nuance there, but that's the best way I can give my answer there. That's why you put mango dressing on the zoodles for the caloric kick. True. Yeah, that's what people ask me. They say, hey, what if I, like, when I eat bananas, it bothers my stomach or whatever, or I have a problem with eating bananas. I'm kind of like, well, mangoes. Mangoes are like the next best thing, like right under bananas. In some instances, mango is actually probably better than banana. Well, actually, but is it better? In certain instances, maybe. Yeah, maybe. It depends what your goal is. I don't know. They're too different to say whether one is better or not. As far as caloric density, I think vitamin B6, tryptophan content, magnesium content, bananas kind of went out. But, you know, mangoes are also really beneficial because of the beta carotene and the water content and, you know, things like that. The copper content. Well, actually, no, because bananas are really high in copper too. Mango plus tomato blended together. I've never thought to combine tomato and mango together. I'd never thought to do that. That would have never occurred to me. I can't even imagine, like, what would that taste like? I don't even know. So I don't know. I may have to experiment with that. I'm very bare bones. Right, so that's that type of sophisticated stuff. I'm gonna have to leave that up to my lady for that, the food engineer. All right. In any case, y'all, I just wanted to come on here tonight and chop it up with y'all and talk about that and show y'all some live meal planning. This stream will be up for replay. All right, so I'm just gonna leave it up as is. So let folks rewatch it. And by the way, hit the link in the description to either book a call with me or sign up for my newsletter, because I'm sending out the alerts for when I'm doing the live streams. All right, so the live stream schedule, I'm going to be running that through there. All right, so you'll be getting those updates through there. Heard honey has healing properties. Yeah, honey is actually a pretty nutrient-dense food. Yeah, so you can add honey to like teas. Honey is antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, yeah, that kind of thing. I don't really consume honey just because it's ethically questionable. I'm not too comfortable with the idea of robbing bees for their honey. That's kind of their food. And I have plenty of other things to eat, so, you know, I don't really personally consume honey because of that. There is ethically sourced honey, there is, right? So if you want to go for that kind of thing, I suppose you could. So I mean, it's just more of a personal thing. I use tomato as my dressing for salads with mangoes. Interesting, okay, look at that. How do you feel about peppermint tea? Peppermint tea is fantastic, especially if you have gas, bloating, you know, any kind of stomach cramps or digestive issues. Peppermint tea is spot on. It calms and relaxes your digestive tract, so that spasming can ease up a bit. So yeah, that's good stuff, absolutely. Peppermint tea, cinnamon tea, ginger tea, basil tea, nettle tea. Right, all of those are really good for relaxing that tract. All right, y'all, I think we covered it all. Appreciate everybody coming through tonight for the new Monday Night Live at an earlier scheduled time, the 6 p.m. So I'm not gonna hold y'all. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care.